Well, just like that, it all begins again. What in the world am I talking about? Well, stick around and find out right after this. Here we go. Welcome back to the Gary Cantrell Podcast. So glad that you could join me here this week, or any week for that matter. Thank you guys so much, and I hope that it's coming clear through the sound of my voice just how freaking excited I am. I'm kind of on like a natural high, if you will, because today I'm recording this on the 26th of April. You will be listening to this on the 28th of April. And so today I'm going to be talking all about my experience returning to the gym. That's right. That happened today. The last time that I have on record that I was at the gym was March 5th, 2020, approximately 6 days before all hell broke loose. I mean, like, that was right before it. I remember it as clear as day, not that specific day, but I do remember kind of some of the things that were happening around that time. I remember on the 9th, there was a WWE Monday Night Raw that I was considering going to that I ended up not going to because I was like, well, less than a month from now, I'm going to be going to WrestleMania, so I might as well save my money and not go to this Raw event. And that ended up being the last live Raw in front of fans. Still, I mean, they did a WrestleMania a couple weeks ago, but as far as like a Monday Night Raw, that Raw in Washington, D.C. was the last one, but that's neither here nor there. So around that time was my last visit to the gym, and let me tell you that the last, what are we at, 13, almost 14 months without going, it can take a lot of toll on you. Probably goes without saying, right? I mean, if you think about it, just, you know, you're so used to doing one thing that when you stop doing that one thing, everything changes. And in many aspects, it can literally throw everything off. And that's exactly what happened to me. I mean, look, I did my best throughout last year to try and stay active, and I fell short more often than not. And that's just being real. That's cutting out all the fluff and the bullshit. But I was not, I was certainly not going crazy like I was before all that, for sure. And I think that, taking me out of my element, the gym, which is a big thing for me, that is one of those things where that is like, it's part of my routine. And when part of my routine falls apart, I tend to fall apart. And so mentally I fell apart. Physically I fell apart. I could feel my breathing slowly but surely over the course of the last year becoming a problem again. The big heavy breaths that I would try to hide through editing, the magic of editing. And I don't know why I'm embarrassed, because at the end of the day, I'm only human. Who gives a shit, right? But there was a part of me that was like, well, I can't show this bit of weakness. Some of you probably heard it. You didn't want to say anything. You were nice. I appreciate it. That's fine. But yeah, it was something to where I could feel the breathing becoming a problem again. Now, the stairs in my building wreck even the healthiest of people. So I've always had problems going up those stairs, but let's just say that I had more problems going up the stairs in the last year or so. But here's what I learned today. And I actually made a video about this. It's on my Instagram by the time you've heard this. And it was just talking about my first experience back, because I was just very surprised at kind of how well my body held up. Now, obviously, wait a week or so, ask me again, does day 2 and 3 and 4 or whatever feel like day 1? Can we get that magic, that lightning in a bottle back again? I don't know. I'm really kind of going into this with like little to no expectation. And I say that because if I put too much pressure on this just now coming back, like, I can't do that. That's not going to help me at all. Now, once I get back in the swing and then I say, okay, we're going to set this goal, and this goal, yeah, that makes sense, because I'm back in the groove. This is future Gary potentially speaking here. I'll be back in the groove, and I'll kind of know what my body can and can't do. And then you start setting the goals again. But for right now, what it really is about it for me, folks, is just getting back into it. You know, I am a man of habit. So what did I do? The very first thing I gravitated to was that elliptical. You know, I talked about on this very podcast about my knee problems recently, and I've been feeling better. But at the same time, like, I need something that's not going to, like, completely blow out my knee the first week I'm back in action. You know what I mean? Like, I need to be good. And so the elliptical for me is that nice way to kind of, like, ease back into everything and kind of give my body that permission to, like, all right, we can come back into this. And we don't have to go hard. We're not trying to run on a treadmill. We're not trying to go run outside. We're just on this elliptical. And the only promise that I'm making to myself is I'm going to get on this elliptical for 1 hour. I'm going to attempt to finish the hour. If I don't, so be it. But I'm going to attempt to finish it. And then I'm going to come back the next day and we'll just see what happens. Like, all the heavy pressure is off. If I put on the pressure, I'm done before I even get started. I know me. I know my body. My goals aren't your goals. And I think the sooner that a lot of you realize that your goals are not the same goals as the other people that you see online and things like that, that's when you start to become really successful, because at that point, you're not comparing yourself to others, which is the absolute trap that I fell into last year, among many other things. But today was the day one of the kind of, you know, back to it. And wow, it has been quite an emotional day. What I was surprised about this, I said this in the video, but I'll say it here for those of you that didn't see it. My first mile on that elliptical was 13 minutes. Now, I know that a mile on the elliptical is not the same as like a mile running, but just for perspective, an elliptical mile is something that a year ago or more I would do somewhere between 11 to 14 minutes. Usually I would start off faster and my body would get slower as the hour would go on, because what I like to do is I like to get on one machine and I like to go for a full hour. That's how I do. And then when I stop seeing like results after several weeks or a month or whatever, then you go on a different machine and then you switch it up. That's how I do it. I realize that's not how a lot of people do it, but that's how I do it. That's how I adjust to it. So for me to get on this machine the first time in almost 14 months, to pull a 13-minute mile the first time out, that's really crazy to me. And it's something that I did not expect whatsoever. I didn't see it coming. I didn't see that at all. But it happened. And I thought that perhaps I would probably stop somewhere, maybe, I don't know, 15, 20, 30 minutes. Like, oh, let's just take a break. Let's put pause. No, didn't happen. And I said to myself, it's okay if you need to stop. Stopping is not going to, you know, be a bad thing. If you need to pause, if you need to take a drink of water, which I had that I didn't take one sip of, then it's right there. And I at no point felt like I wanted to stop, and I at no point felt like I needed to stop. Now again, as we get further into this, we're going to see where I'm really at. You know, this could very well just be that first day back and my body was feeling good and I said, hey, let's just roll with it. And then I could come back in the following days and fall flat on my face. And I'll be okay with that. But what I won't be okay with is stopping all over again. And fingers crossed, you know, I know we're in a pandemic and all that, but fingers crossed that we're on the better side of that and we're not going to have that, you know, shutting everything down again. That's the hope. And that's one of the reasons why I waited so long to come back, because on the 7th of April was my second vaccination day. My vaccine number 2, the Pfizer. And so I wanted to wait 2 weeks. Now, last week would have been 2 weeks, but I said, you know what, let's round it up to the next Monday. What's one more week? I'll just wait. I'll be patient and I'll go back. And that's exactly what I've done. Now, I can't say the same for a lot of people in that gym. There was, there's signs all over the place about the masks and all that, and many people chose not to wear them. I guess they wore them to get in. But that's not my job to judge people on that. Whatever happens to them, it's on them. I got my vaccine. I got my mask. If you believe in something else, you go right ahead. And we don't need to argue about that, by the way. Like, I don't give a shit what side you're on necessarily. Whatever side you're with, you're just with it, and that's fine. But I'm just saying, like, what I saw in the gym is like most people did not have them on. And I don't know if the expectation is that you have to have them on while you work out the entire time. That's just what I did. That's what I was comfortable with. And I did not notice any sort of like, issues with the breathing or anything like that. I was fine, and I couldn't believe it. Again, ask me again in a week and we'll see what happens. And maybe I'll come back next week and I'll talk about that. I don't want to dedicate, we've talked about this on other podcasts. We're not making 100% of everything I'm doing back into the fitness stuff. That is not the identity of me. That is a part of me, but that is not the identity. But we will cover that here. We will cover that on the Instagram, but it's not going to be every single post. It's not going to be all that I post. That will not be the identity. And, I did put up a video, and that is also not the norm. You see, before, and this is kind of one of the last things I'll say, then we'll wrap it up. Before, I was kind of like documenting everything in real time. And there was some little bit of pressure that gets added in there of, hey, I need to take my picture. I need to screenshot my workout app. I need to get my post up and all that stuff. And, if I got a video, we'll get a vlog in there or something like that. And there's no more of that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that like on an everyday thing. I am documenting all of it. By a picture or a video or something, but this is for actually a bigger project, because at some point in the future, and not anytime soon in the future, because we're writing the future, but I'm filming for like an actual proper documentary, because quite frankly, there's so much crazy shit that happened last year and a lot of things that are going on right now in the present day that have not been brought to light yet, good things, but just, crazy things. And so like all of this, but the bigger theme of the documentary is going to be like my life falling out of fitness, falling back in, and all the other stuff that goes along with it. I'm documenting it all. For those of you guys that don't know, and maybe you clicked on this one because it looked like a fitness one to you, I've gotten a new camera, and I am ready to document this entire thing. And I don't know what that looks like other than I'm going to talk a lot in it. I'm going to show a few clips here and there, and we'll talk about, the workouts and all that stuff. So what I will say is this morning, before I had any working out, I started at I was at 332, which is really fucking high. 272 was my lowest since I started 4 years ago. And so that's about up 60. And I don't put numbers on it and all that shit. That's just here for historical perspective. We're not eyeballing that number. We're not obsessing over that number. That's just what the number is. That number will be different a lot of the times that we talk. We hope it goes down, might go up here and there. But this is all a part of it, because this is all unprecedented. We're kicking this thing off again. For right now, the only expectations I'm setting on myself, I'm starting much like I did in January of 2017. My plan is to show up 3 days a week. Now, I already know me. I'm going to probably show up 4 to 5 because that's just who I am. That's what I do. But the expectation is we're aiming for 3. The expectation also is that I'm going to go on this damn elliptical for an hour. Yes, I know. I'm starting out with the cardio only. That's how I do things. I get back into my groove and then I start dabbling into the other stuff. And for right now, that's the goal. The eating, that will be addressed in a separate situation. All right? Believe me, we're going to talk about all that. But for right now, that one will be addressed later. The tease I will give you is that it is not anywhere close to what it was before I started this whole thing 4 years ago. That I am proud of. I can see some things that irk me in the process that I will be fine-tuning. But again, we'll save that for another show. We got to have content. We got to spread this out. But today was the first day back, almost 14 months. I can't believe it. I am emotional. I will not cry. I'm sorry. I will not give you that. But I am emotional. I am happy. I showed up. I got it done. And that's it, guys. That's what happened. That is how it went down. And we're going to talk a lot more about this in the coming days and weeks and all that stuff. So stay tuned. There's a lot more to come. And if you've been messing with me for a long time and you're still around, I appreciate you. Thank you so much.